Господине Хан, добре дојдовте во нашата програма. Вие сте во Скопје во својство на комесар за буџет, но јас би морал да се вратам 5 години наназад на нашето последно интервју на Советот за министри за надворешни работи во Луксембург во 2018 година. И тој состанок требаше да биде впрочем почеток на еден јасен и неповратен процес за македонските европски интеграции. Но од денешна перспектива, како го гледате фактот дека тој пат за Македонија и натаму е со многу пречки и условувања?
Well, indeed, 5 years ago we were finally not successful. We were almost there. Meanwhile, the country has made a lot of progress also in its negotiations with the European Union. So I'm confident also I have to say, the Russian aggressive war in Ukraine has triggered a new momentum on the entire enlargement debate inside the European Union. It's also that there is a growing understanding amongst member states that we have to consolidate our membership structure. Of course, it takes two for a tango, and if the one side delivers, the other side has to deliver. That's true, but as a budget commissioner, by the way, I can confirm that in the course of our revision of our multi-annual budget, we also intend to reinforce the support to the Western Balkan region, and therefore also to North Macedonia, to back all the efforts towards the future integration. But it's not only about money, it's also about values, other things, rule of law, etc.
Ако вие испорачате, ние испорачаме, тоа некако состана како едно мото или бренд на вашето предходно портфолио како комесар за проширување, и ако ја следиме суштината на ова реченица, прашањето е кој повеќе потврли во испорачувањето, Македонија или Европската унија?
Look, if I wanted to be a teacher, I could have been a teacher, so I don't distribute marks. I think nobody is perfect. I'm also critical with our member states because there have been situations where indeed North Macedonia has delivered and it was not adequately honored. But again, it's a way which is not finished yet. And I think we should not count the individual setbacks or whatsoever. I think we always should look forward. And if I take the general development over the last couple of years, there is progress, there's a clear direction, there's a clear support. There's also a strong support here in the country, and we should build on it.
Но вие лично долго сте присутни во Македонија, во регионот, и верувам дека знаете дека сето тоа предизвикува големи разочарувања. Го знаете и фактот дека повеќе од 80% од граѓаните на Македонија се против уставните промени. Со кои аргументи сега би ги убедиле дека еве овој пат е навистина за нивно добро и дека повторно треба да се направи отстапка?
Look, I think the general circumstances have significantly changed. I don't hide that during my term in office, I very often had the feeling rather lonesome in my efforts to bring countries of the region closer to the European Union. Enlargement was not very high at the agenda. Today, the situation is a very different one. There's a huge commitment by the President of the European Commission, strong support by the President of the European Council. Many heads of states have been in the region regularly. We had different meetings once again, there's a momentum, there's readiness also to provide additional financial support. So I think the global landscape in terms of enlargement has changed, and I think together, the like-minded ones also in the European Union and others should seize the momentum now to go ahead and to finish things. So I think the question of changing the constitution, as it is part of the overall agreement, is a necessity. One has to accept not everything is, so to say, always 100% perfect, but what counts is the overall result.
Европа да, Европа сега е мотото на финансиската конференција на која што присуствувате и која е повод за вашето доаѓање во Скопје. Но ако се погледне од аспект на актуелната дебата за внатрешни реформи во Европската Унија, има ли јасна визија во овој момент и одговор на прашањето кога? Па можеби и како?
Look, this when is a sensitive one, because it depends indeed also on the progress a country is doing. But what is clear, what is still valid, and it will be valid in the future, is that the whole process is a merit one. So it means if a country delivers, it should get the credentials from it, and that's why we are not waiting till everybody is ready for accession. But if a country is earlier ready, then it should be the case. And in the case of North Macedonia, I have the feeling it's also confirmed in the discussions we had today, and also all the informations I have heard and read, that North Macedonia is making quite a lot of progress toward its path to Europe. So I think we have to be optimistic, and I think it's feasible that North Macedonia can join the European Union within a couple of years. But to say a specific date is unserious.
Ја споменавте геополитичката констелација со војната во Украина и особено со кандидатскиот статус на Украина и на Молдавија. Дали Европската Унија е на своевиден крстопат или во конфузија, како да ја одржи не само кредибилноста на процесот на проширување, туку реално да го придвижи напред?
Well, I mean, first in our treaty, it's clearly stipulated that each European country has the right, provided the necessary conditions are in place, to become member of the European Union. So this applies for North Macedonia as well as for Moldova and Ukraine. But again, it's about fulfilling the necessary conditions. But nevertheless, I believe that the war has indeed triggered a new momentum. Also, the European leaders are aware that also for geopolitical reasons, we have to strengthen ourselves. Today, the Prime Minister was very clear in his speech about the economic effects for the region, for North Macedonia, but also for Europe. And the more we are, the stronger we are also in economic terms, the better is our standing at the global scale. And I mean, it was said several times again and again, if you look at the map, the Western Balkans are surrounded only by EU member states. So it's very natural that at the end of the day, these countries have to join the Union sooner than later. And I'm a strong believer that North Macedonia can be in this context a front runner in the region.
Се чини дека многу прашања, многу отворени дилеми се на маса, Европа во неколку брзини, различно ниво на интеграција, фазно интегрирање и сето тоа како дел од внатрешната дебата, односно дебатата за внатрешните реформи на Европската Унија. Според вас, што би го направило овој процес пред се по-предвидлив, па и по-кредибилен?
Well, first, I think that our President Ursula von der Leyen 2 days ago in her speech about the State of the Union was pretty clear and outspoken about not only future enlargement, but also the critics we are facing occasionally, that the member states or the Union is not ready for further enlargement because our decision shaping and making process is too cumbersome. This issue that we need for almost each and everything, unanimity is hampering us, and this has to be resolved. Also some institutional issues. And I think she was very clear that she said, we don't need any treaty changes. We have more or less all the means already today in hands to change our internal procedures, to adapt to the fact that we are almost 30 member states, etc. So it's on us to prepare ourselves in a way that indeed already today 27 are arriving faster to certain decisions, to be a more active player also on a global scale than being only reactive. So in that respect, the extension of the Union to some additional members is not a reason to wait till we make any treaty changes. So it's on us to improve our internal structures and therefore improve our performance, and this will also benefit new member states.
Председателката на Европската комисија фон дер Лајен во мај представи една своевидна нова иницијатива за Западниот Балкан со 4 точки. Зошто се уште немаме конкретни чекори во тој поглед?
No, I think there are already some steps into this direction. Of course, we also need to discuss it, but I think the idea simply, and I have to admit, we were talking about this already when we adopted the West Balkan strategy in 2018, which was very much drafted by myself, that we need a gradual, if you like, soft integration of future member states already before they are joining the Union, in order to make them more and more familiar, in order to strengthen the ties. So the idea, for instance, is once a certain thematic cluster is concluded, the negotiations about, for instance, the respective ministers could participate in the ministerial conferences at the European Union level. There are also some ideas. It was mentioned today by the finance minister that the difference between the financial support as long as you are a candidate country and the financial support once you are a member is a huge one. It's almost 1 to 10, something like this. So what we proposed already in the past, and I think we should work on this for the next multi-annual financial framework and its regulation, is that once there is an agreement about a future accession, but between the agreement and the official date of joining, they are usually 1 to 2 years, there could be a phasing in also in terms of financial support, so that the difference between before and after the accession is not so big, because it's also an issue of using the money. And we see that if a country is joining the Union, they often have problems to use the different opportunities because it's in a magnitude which was not the case before. There's also not the administrative capacity available. So I think we have learned our lessons from previous accession rounds, that it's better to prepare our future colleagues in a way that they have already before the accession more opportunities to learn, to participate, to be involved in the so to say, decision shaping and making structure of the European Union. By the way, this will also strengthen quasi their situation, their standing back home.
Што поконкретно може да се очекува во следните месеци, бидејќи имајќи ги предвид овие 14 милиарди евра за предпристапна помош, со влегувањето на Украина во процесот се чини дека првото нешто што ќе треба да се направи е да се смени оваа рамка.
No, what we have proposed in June, the European Commission, and it's now subject to discussions with the Member States and with the European Parliament, is a review of our so-called multi-annual financial framework. The European Union, we have a multi-annual budget, and the current budget is from 2021 till 2027. When the budget was adopted, we were de facto at the beginning of the pandemic. We couldn't expect how things evolved. Meanwhile, starting last year, we have this war in the Ukraine with all the consequences, for instance, on the energy market, energy costs, inflation, disruption of global supply chains, etc. So all this had an impact on the budgetary situation, and that's why we have proposed a review of this multi-annual financial framework. And part of this proposal is indeed also to provide additional financial support to the region in the magnitude of 2 million euro.
Дали зборуваме само за зголемување на предпристапните фондови или пак и за своевиден пристап до структурните и кохезивните фондови?
No, as long as a candidate country is not, so we are talking only about pre-accession in reality. By the way, neither cohesion
because there are different ideas on the table.
Yeah, what I just wanted to say, neither cohesion nor agriculture is affected from our proposal to increase the support. Our support proposal, or our proposal to reinforce certain budget lines, is a very targeted one, where we believe additional financial means are necessary. It's about migration, by the way, something which also affects the region here, but also indeed strengthening the further development of the region. For this, additional money is necessary. So this is why we have proposed indeed an increase of the de facto pre-accession budget for the region by 2 billion euro.
Дали сметате дека Македонија, па генерално и економиите во регионот се подготвени, дека се во форма да влезат во тој бизнес надпревар на заедничкиот економски пазар?
Look, I think that's why we proposed in the past the regional economic area. This, for well-known reasons, didn't work well, but now there's a very pragmatic cooperation between, I understand, North Macedonia, Serbia, Albania, which already very significant impact on the trade relationship and the economic exchange between the three countries by abandoning a lot of regulations, checks, and whatever administrative burden. And this is exactly in the spirit of the European single market. And our idea was always that at the regional level, quasi this single market should be somehow copy-paste in order to enable the region or part of the region to join the union in a more, let's say, softer way, that there is a smooth phase in, because otherwise you are confronted with so many new task, challenges, regulations, and that's why it is good to prepare the ground. It has immediately impact. If you look at the figures already, I was told about the steep increase between between Serbia and North Macedonia, Albania. So there's a clear benefit if there are less administrative burdens, if there are no queues at the border for trucks, etc., if there are so-called green lanes. And this is exactly the spirit of the European single market. And to prepare the ground for the future accession is also a good one, preparing quasi on the administrative side, but already benefiting on the business side.
Ке се чини дека дел од политичката елита и во Македонија и на Балканот позитивно гледа на оваа евентуална можност за пристап кон единствениот пазар.
I think our experts are looking into this, and we have to see how we can accommodate to this, because again, at the end of the day, we are all benefiting, because already today, 75% or two-thirds of foreign direct investments are from Europe. Import-export is at the same magnitude, so it's clearly that the region is embedded into the European economic activities.
Што би било поразлично од постојната спогодба за стабилизација и асоциација?
Well, I think I have to admit I'm on this not anymore updated, and that's why I don't want to say anything wrong. But again, on a more general note, I can only say the more, so to say, the region starts to adapt itself to our principles and structures and procedures within the single market, the better it is.
Господине Хан, за жал, кога е во прашање секој разговор околу пристапувањето кон ЕУ почнува и завршува во македонскиот случај со политиката. Повторно сме исправени пред нови услови. Која е вашата порака? Еве, не толку кон политичарите, туку можеби повеќе кон граѓаните, зашто тие уште еднаш би требале да прифатат нов услов и да сметаат дека е тоа за доброто и просперитетот на земјата.
Look, I agree that, so to say, the discussion about the future accession to the European Union is very often perceived with additional layers of condition or whatsoever. I think this is an somehow unfortunate connotation, because what we are aiming at is to improve the living conditions of people in a given country, giving them more opportunities, more space, more freedom, more opportunities, relying on the independence of the judiciary, rule of law, everything else. So different to others, indeed, so the accession to the Union is not a free lunch, but at the end of the day, so the return of investment, meaning to adjust to our set of regulations, finally benefits each and everybody. So it should be seen not as a condition, but as a necessary investment to get something in return in the future. And this is, so to say, what should be the joint understanding. We have, whenever you want to create something, you have to invest into it. But the aim is always to get something back. And we are not always talking about money, but also about other things. So think from the perspective, we are not imposing conditions, but we are offering investment opportunities.
Господине Хан, ви благодарам што бевте гостин во Топ тема.